Good evening. Thank you so much for attending the announcement of the winners of the Morning Coffee Writing Competition. I'm Carol. I set up the competition in association with Sonder magazine. It is a short story contest we run this summer in order to raise funds for the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre, because it's a massively important service, especially in lockdown, but their fundraising has been severely impacted by COVID-19. They're doing incredible work, and we were honoured to be able to help out. Thanks to your submissions and donations, we were able to raise a mind-blowing €1,013 for the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. Before we get started with the announcement, there are a whole bunch of people I want to thank. Firstly, and most importantly, thank you to Sinéad and Orla at Sonder magazine. This would not have been possible without their support and enthusiasm and guidance, and the fact that they are all around lovely people. From the very first email I sent, they've been amazing to work with, and I'm so grateful to them for helping me make this idea into something real that's had a positive impact. Thank you to Annie, Edie, Kirsty, and everyone at the DRCC for being so excited about the competition and so pleasant always. The work you do is so important and so necessary, and thanks for letting us be a small part of it. Thank you to every person and organisation who helped spread the word about the competition, who tweeted about it or shared it or told their friends to submit. For their support and encouragement, cheers to Kevin Power, Vanessa Fox O'Loughlin, Nuala O'Connor, and everyone at my writing group. Massive thanks to Emer Tyrrell at Radius for taking an interest and writing about us. Thanks to my family, but especially Ella, who created the lovely logo and helped me with all sorts of admin bits, and also told me, when I had this idea, that if I didn't do it, she'd never speak to me again. Huge thanks to Sarah Davis-Goff. I emailed her asking would she tweet about the competition, and she very politely and generously offered to be our guest judge. She's obviously mad talented, but has also been wonderfully sound. I want to thank every single person who submitted and every single person who donated. The support for this competition blew me away. The amount of money raised is beyond wonderful, but also on a personal level, that positive response to this project has been so appreciated. Okay, I believe that is all the thank yous. I will now pass you over to Sinead and Orla at Sonder for the next part of the announcement.
Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. I'm Sinead and this is Orla, and we're from Sonder magazine. For anyone unfamiliar, we're an Irish literary magazine publishing original works of short stories, flash fiction, creative non-fiction and poetry from emerging and experienced writers alike.
We were so excited when Carol came to us with the idea for the Morning Coffee Writing Competition, especially when we heard that it was to raise funds for the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. This centre offers support to anyone who's experienced sexual assault at any time.
We were so impressed by the standard of submissions to this competition. It was really difficult to narrow down, and thankfully we had Sarah to pick the top 3 pieces, which we couldn't be happier with. The whole point of this contest was, as Carol has already said, to bring a little lightness to a dark time. So we cannot thank everyone enough for their submissions and donations.
The top 3 pieces are now available to read on our website, and we will also be publishing the winning piece in issue 4. We are so excited for you all to read these 3 pieces. They are unique and beautiful stories that resonate with us and the theme of Sonder perfectly, as they each represent the extraordinariness of everyday life, which is what Sonder is all about.
We recently published issue 3, which is full of equally original works from short stories to creative non-fiction. You can buy a copy from various independent bookshops and also from our website.
Thank you again to Carol for introducing this competition, to Sarah for her hard work and involvement, to Kirsty and the team at the Rape Crisis Centre for all that they do, and most importantly to all of you who submitted and donated. You have made all the hard work worthwhile.
We will now hand you over to Kirsty from the Rape Crisis Centre, who's going to speak to you a little bit about the incredible and necessary work that they do. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Kirsty from the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre, and I wanted to say a huge thank you for your fantastic donations from all of us, from our therapists and counsellors to our amazing volunteers and our staff. And a particular congratulations to the winner of the morning coffee writing competition. Here at the DRCC, we are contacted more than 14,000 times each year by men and women who have been affected by sexual violence. We've been working at the forefront of Ireland's response to sexual violence for over 40 years. We work directly with victims of sexual assault to support them through their trauma. And we also fight for the rights of survivors, advocating for change in the criminal justice system and running education and training programs. Sadly, COVID-19 has been an awful time for victims of sexual assault. The number of calls to our national helpline has significantly increased, and the waitlist of survivors who need one-to-one time with our therapists has doubled. We can only start to meet this growing demand thanks to donations like yours. So thank you for enabling us to heal the trauma caused by sexual violence. If you or anyone you know needs support, you can reach us 24 hours a day on the national helpline using 1-800 77 8888. Thank you once again for all of your support, and huge congratulations to the winner.
Hello, my name is Sarah Davis-Scott. I'm the author of Last Ones Left Alive and co-publisher at Tramp Press, a small but international independent publisher of great works like A Ghost in the Throat by Deirdre Griafa, Handiwork by Sarah Baum, Solar Bones by Mike McCormick, and many more of your favourite hits. I'm so delighted to be working with the wonderful people at the Morning Coffee Writing Competition in partnership with Sonder magazine, Sinéad, Orla and Carol, to judge their short story competition, the proceeds of which have gone to the Rape Crisis Centre. I feel really proud to be involved in such a great initiative, raising funds for this essential work, particularly just now when the need is greater than ever. So without too much further ado, let me talk about our winners. We have a third, second and first place. I'm going to announce the contestants who won third place first and just say a few words about their story. I'm delighted to say that third place goes to It's My Fault by Anthony Bradley. This is a deceptively simple story about a young couple going about getting emergency contraception. It's very strong on a sentence level with very well rendered dialogue. What I really enjoyed about the story is how it talks about the barriers that people face in this situation, even with contraception being relatively easily available now. There's a discussion about the paying for it, about the shame they feel in having to attend to this basic medical need, and about being afraid of being judged and humiliated. It's a really strong piece of writing. Huge congratulations to Anthony Bradley. Second place goes to Tigers Have Striped Skin by Davena O'Neill. This formally inventive work seeks to compare the biological facts of various animals to the abusive patterns the narrator is observing in their own home. It's about a child attempting to come to terms in quite an oblique way with the abuse that their mother is experiencing at the hands of their father. Again, on a sentence level, the work is really strong, and their approach to communicating the processing of trauma is really unique and effective. So extremely well done to this writer, and congratulations on second place to Davena O'Neill. Finally, in first place, we have a short story called Glorious by Liam McCarthy. Glorious is an offbeat story about a pair of ruffians stealing away a grandmother to take her to the zoo, where she used to work with the black bears. There's a gorgeous subtlety to the work. It carefully balances the viewpoint of one of these scruffians with observations about the grandmother's conflating her sense of grief in losing her husband and in the loss of these black bears. This work made me grieve a little bit with it for this life that this interesting woman lived and is now losing, but it also carries with it the joyful sense of being a caper and of getting away with something. This is a very assured storyteller, and I'm so delighted to announce that Liam McCarthy is the winner of this contest. Huge congratulations. Thank you all.
Well, when I set out to write this, I didn't have any particular point to prove. I didn't really set it to destigmatize anything. I simply wanted to be true to life and to be honest about what, the way the world really is, the way things happen. So, but I suppose that in being honest and in being true to the way the world is, or attempting to be that, we remind people, and in recalling instances like these that people are often ashamed about, often feel uncomfortable talking about, then it brings it more so into the mainstream conversation. So I suppose in writing stories like this, we sort of by accident inadvertently do help destigmatize, but I don't know if that's always the aim when someone sits down to write a story about an event like this. But perhaps it is. But for me, it was simply to be true to the way things are. Well, the world, I suppose, people's relationships aren't always very romantic. Sometimes they're a bit drab. Sometimes they're filled with, they're regrettable. They're filled with shame, or people feel guilt and different sort of emotions like that. So again, I was just trying to be true to that, to sort of give an honest reflection of that. I wouldn't say I would, I did enjoy writing it, but I don't think that I set out and really enjoyed to sort of give characters these sort of miserable, flat, romantic lives. I don't know, but I just, again, I enjoy just trying to recreate or create rather an experience, like, something from the world in writing, and in a more in an honest, lifelike way. That's just what I aim for. Well, sort of, I suppose, because I wanted to write about this, but I'm limited by my experiences as a man. There's only so far I can really go when writing about a woman's experience without feeling that I'm getting to a point where I could be creating misrepresentation or a sort of dishonest representation. So you sort of used a male perspective because it was perhaps more accessible for me to lead into what is ultimately probably a more female-centered experience, or an experience centered like people with wombs who can get pregnant, I suppose you'd say. But I also think it works quite naturally with the flow of the story. So, I I think I think it just worked. It just sort of made sense to have that sort of shift at the end towards the young woman's perspective and her feelings, and I thought it just worked, so I just kept it, and I I think it made the story more balanced. It was good to give it both perspectives because it is an event that involves two people. Um, but yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it. I don't know if I really thought of it before that I thought like, oh, I want to show both perspectives in this, but it just it was what came naturally and it worked, so I stuck with it.
The idea for the story Tigers Have Striped Skin came from a writing prompt. Kathy Fish and Nancy Stolman were doing writing prompts at the start of lockdown, and one of the days Kathy suggested using facts to frame your story or to use them in your story, and she'd given some suggestions. So I went onto Google and got lost for at least a day looking up various facts, and I got a lot of ideas from that. And when I was looking back over them, several had an animal theme, and several made reference to the heart. So I started just to put some of them together, and the story started to take shape. Using a child as the narrator and seeing things from her perspective came naturally with using the facts, because she was the little fact collector, using this information to help her process her environment and the experiences that she was living through. And it also just gave me freedom to play with that format and to just try out that style. I chose the title Tigers Have Striped Skin because that was the fact that really stood out to me from the story. It was a fact I hadn't known beforehand myself, and tigers are such beautiful creatures, and it just kind of fascinated me that their skin is also marked by the patterns on their fur. I think it sums up the story from the narrator's point of view, that she believes that people's actions on the outside really reflect the person that they are inside, and she learns that and understands that really in relation to how she sees her parents, but also herself. And also I like the sound of it, so I used it as the title.
So question 1 was about inspirations for the piece. So recently I read an article that popped up on my computer about the war years in Belfast, and how in 1941 Belfast Zoo actually put down all their bears, tigers, any kind of dangerous animal, because in case if a bomb hit the zoo, they might escape, bring chaos and destruction into the city. I thought it was really interesting, read up on it, discovered it coincided with the first female zookeepers in Ireland, thought that was interesting too, and kind of started thinking about who these women might be and what their lives might be like. Then number 2, about making glorious stories sad, emotional, but uplifting. This year more than ever has been a really tough one for everyone, especially people in Gloria's age bracket, like you said. Personally, my grandmother died this year, and I suppose that had me thinking about the kind of life you live when you're coming near the end of it. And from the outside to everyone else, it can look very overwhelmingly bleak. But then, obviously, there's these moments of respite, no matter what, that life gives us, that kind of make it worthwhile. And as in the story with the Sonders. And then, about last question being about the play on road trips and heists, which, they're so prevalent in writing, and for good reason, because it's like such a basic kind of, we love that rush and the feeling, the idea of running away, of adventure, which we all know and love. And because we know and love it, they've literally been done to death in writing. So I guess it's been interesting to think about the trips that haven't been chronicled or written about. There's also the, coming of age elements. Road trips are always seen kind of as coming of age stories. And in Gloria's case, it is a coming of age story, but it's a coming of a kind of a final age story, last road trip in that sense. So that's all. So I hope that's okay. Thank you.
Amazing. Massive congratulations to Anthony, Davena, and Leah. I adore all of those stories. I'm so excited for everyone to have the chance to read them. You can find the full stories on the Sonder magazine website. And Glorious by Leah, the winning story, will also be in print in issue 4 of Sonder magazine. Thank you all so much for attending our virtual announcement. If you don't know, the idea behind the morning coffee title was that the world can be dark, but whether we are in a position where we need to use the DRCC services or are just finding lockdown tough or whatever, we all hopefully have some nice bright thing to get us out of the bed or up in the morning. This has obviously been, and still is, a hell of a year for everybody, and I wanted to create something positive. And I think the morning coffee writing competition has done that, and it's because of the unbelievable support we received. So once again, thank you for supporting the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your generosity and positivity. Stay safe out there and have a lovely evening.